This is the full solve for Digital Buried Treasure number 1. Digital Buried Treasure is an online treasure hunt that I started in April 2019. The prize was $1,000 hidden somewhere on the internet. The person that won has understandably asked to remain anonymous, but a huge congratulations to them. The hard work paid off, and enjoy your prize. I have been in contact with the winner and plan to release a brief interview that I conducted with them soon. I know that $1,000 isn't exactly life-changing money for most people, but I'm glad it was enough to incentivize so many people from around the world to work on this puzzle. It was immensely rewarding for me to play along with you all and watch the collaboration and progress as everyone worked through the riddle. I'm getting to the solution, but first I want to mention Patreon again. Now that Digital Buried Treasure number 1 is over, I'll be working on constructing a sequel, and I'll need as much help as possible to pull it off. You can contribute for as little as $2 a month. For $5 per month, you will get a one-day head start when Digital Buried Treasure number 2 is released, and for $10 you can be eligible for the mini hunts. But hopefully your main reason for supporting is because of all the fun that you had working on Digital Buried Treasure number 1, and this way you can help ensure a sequel. As I've said before, I'm not rich, and I can't do it on my own. Since supporters at the $2 level won't have any hints to ask right now since Digital Buried Treasure number 1 is over, I'm adding a different incentive in the interim. All supporters will now have their name added in a list in the credits of each video, starting with this video, as a way for me to thank you for your support. I've also had some people ask how they can contribute one-time donations toward this project. If you want, you can send donations to my personal PayPal account, which I'll list in the description of this video, or contact me for my address if you're interested in mailing a check or something like that. I'll make sure that money goes right into this project. Okay, let's get into it. My plan is to go through the riddle stanza by stanza and break down the meaning of everything, and then go over the meanings behind any extra clues that were given as well. But I hope that you'll indulge me in listening to the riddle one more time in full. 2 keys unlock the chest of gold that's made of ones and zeros, and the one that holds them both will be the $1,000 hero. The first key is quite standard, 10 cuts, 10 pins, and turn, but the key is split in 3 and must be put together first. Piece number 1 will call a place that fits you like a glove, for nothing is as strong or fawning as a mother's love. The next +2 is found astride a treasure on its own. Spare no expense, search everywhere, beside a bird that's rarely thrown. The last part is a tricky one, so play it carefully. Explode the strongest wind, no sea legs here, a song by DDE. Then with your newfound knowledge you must travel through black flame. The place where alchemy's best is found will help you win this game. You need not rise up from your chair to find what treasure's hidden there, for each of you is equal and the competition fair. The best of luck to all who try, for here the hunt begins. Let greed not come between you, real treasure lies in friends. 2 keys unlock the chest of gold that's made of ones and zeros, and the one that holds them both will be the $1,000 hero. Let's start from the beginning. 2 keys unlock the chest of gold that's made of ones and zeros. As I said from the beginning, this line refers to the fact that the treasure was stored digitally, and the ones and zeros refers to binary, which is the most basic element of digital information. It is also tied into a persistent theme throughout the hunt of the number 10, which is also comprised of a 1 and a 0. The final location of the treasure was a PayPal account, and the 2 keys needed to unlock this chest were a phone number and password. PayPal was previously known as X.com. The Roman numeral X is also the number 10, and in treasure hunting, X marks the spot, making this the perfect place to hide the first digital buried treasure. The next line, and the one that holds them both will be the $1,000 hero, is just there to give information about the prize that awaits the person who solves the riddle, although the prize of $1,000 also ties back into the theme of ones and zeros. The second stanza starts with the lines, "The first key is quite standard, 10 cuts, 10 pins, and turn." Here again we see the number 10, but this time in relation to the first key. 10 cuts and pins refers to the physical mechanism of most common locks, which have 5 pins on the top and 5 pins on the bottom. The key is cut to match with those pins so that the lock can turn. However, unlike a normal lock, which is divided into 2 groups of 5, this key is split in 3 and must be put together first. Each of the following stanzas, 3, 4, and 5, give clues to each one of those pieces for the first key. Piece number 1 will call the place that fits you like a glove. This line refers to the state of Michigan, which is often called the Mitten State due to the shape of its lower peninsula. Anyone who did a couple Google searches on me personally would find that I'm from Michigan and still live here. Some people discovered that my clues had a tendency to start broad and gradually zoom in when I'm giving location-based clues, which is exactly the case here. If you started in Michigan, the next line, "For nothing is as strong or fawning as a mother's love," would lead pretty quickly to the city of Dearborn, as mother's love relates to born, and deer, D-E-A-R, as it is actually spelled in the city. But the word fawning also helps confirm this is the right answer, as D-E-E-R is a homophone for D-E-A-R, and a fawn is a baby deer. Now, what information are you actually supposed to get from Dearborn? The answer is in the first line of the stanza. Piece number 1 will call a place. How do you call a place? In the US, telephone area codes cover specific cities or regions. The area code for Dearborn is 313. I also intended for this to be a step in the direction of realizing the format of the first key, which is a 10-digit phone number, each of those digits being one of the pins mentioned in the second stanza. US telephone numbers are grouped into 3 groups, the first 2 of which each have 3 numbers and the third of which has 4 numbers. The next 2 stanzas will yield numbers according to this convention. The next stanza starts with, "The next plus 2 is found astride a treasure on its own." In hindsight, it would have probably been more linguistically accurate to say beside a treasure on its own instead of astride, but the important information here is to find a treasure on its own. This proved to be one of the more difficult stanzas to solve, but I know of at least one person who did it without the help of the additional hints I gave. The treasure on its own is Treasure Island. There are many places named Treasure Island, which gives the need to search everywhere, as the next line says. Spare no expense, search everywhere, beside a bird that's rarely thrown. It also doesn't take long to recognize the bowling terminology here, spare, and a bird that's rarely thrown, which refers to a turkey, the name in bowling for throwing 3 strikes in a row. If you look around for bowling alleys near places named Treasure Island, eventually you'll come across 10 Pin Lanes in Florida, which is right next to Treasure Island. The name 10 Pins ties into both the number 10 and is a double meaning to the way that a typical lock works, as I mentioned earlier. If you get to this point and you've managed to figure out that you're looking for a phone number and that this is the second group of numbers, know that we need 3 numbers from this stanza. Looking at the phone number for 10 Pin Lanes, it is 381-1010. The first half of the phone number is what we need because we're looking for a group of 3 numbers. But if you weren't sure, the second half, 1010, perfectly ties back into the theme of 1s and 0s and the number 10. Now, 381 is not actually the 3 numbers that we need. There's a little bit of math involved here. As the riddle says, the next plus 2 is found, and so we can translate this into x plus 2 equals 381. When we solve for x, we get 379, and we have our solution for this stanza. The third part of the first key, given in stanza 5, seems to be where a lot of people gravitated towards to start this hunt, because there were some obvious answers to this stanza alone. However, starting in the middle made it difficult to retroactively figure out that the format of the first key was a phone number. This stanza reads, "The last part is a tricky one, so play it carefully. Explode the strongest wind, no sea legs here, a song by DDE." This clue yields 4 alphanumeric combinations. Explode is C4, the strongest wind is F5 from the Fujita scale used to measure wind speeds. No sea legs here is C6, which sounds like the word seasick, and the song by DDE, a Norwegian rock band, is E6. Once you have these 4 combinations, you must play them carefully. Music uses alphanumeric designations to name different notes, and if you map these onto a keyboard or other instrument, you would be able to find the intervals between them, which is the distance between the notes, inclusive of the endpoints. The intervals, in ascending order, the same order that they're presented in the riddle, are an 11th, a 5th, and a 3rd, giving us 1, 1, 5, 3. At this point, you can put together the entire first key, which is 313 379 1153. If you were to call this number, it would confirm that this is indeed the first key. This is the message that would play. Congratulations on finding the first key. The second key is independent of the first, but I will tell you this, you will need something that you cannot find easily online. That thing is a book. Good luck. It wasn't necessary to call this number, but doing so would at least confirm that you're on the right track and give a small hint regarding the second key. The next stanza begins the journey to find the second key. To find the second key, you need assistance from a man whose fortune came as a surprise while clearing wood upon the land. The man in question here that you're looking for is James W. Marshall, who was a carpenter and sawmill operator who reported the finding of gold at Coloma on the American River in California on January 24th, 1848, which served as the impetus for the California Gold Rush. There were a couple clues that would lead to him that he was a sawmill operator, so harvesting lumber, aka clearing wood from the land, was his profession. In addition, the email that I used to correspond with people for this hunt was grush411@gmail.com, Grush meaning gold rush, which could have led people to connect the two things. However, the tipping point in James Marshall eventually getting discovered was following mini hunt number 2. That mini hunt yielded a 6-digit number, 323577, which when appended to the digitalburiedtreasure.com site gave a clue that the man you were searching for is 11 miles north. Mini hunt number 2 was found in Diamond Springs, California, which is just south of Coloma where James W. Marshall found gold. Once you know that Marshall is the person that you're looking for, you can find profiles for him that I set up on both Twitter and Instagram and contain an image with the Digital Buried Treasure logo and a cipher which is 4 lines of numbers. These are applied to the next stanza. Also on the profiles are another phone number, 541-236-5318. The area code 541 for this phone number will be useful in finding the second key and encompasses the majority of the state of Oregon. If you call this phone number, you get a message from James Marshall which says, "Welcome those who seek my gold, a fool's errand truth be told. It's buried deep and hard to find, but here's a hint so you're not blind. From Minnow Creek to 21, past mountain homes the answer lay. If you get lost along the way, a dog-eared page will lead the way." Again, it was not necessary to call this number, it simply gives a little extra guidance on how to use Marshall's cipher. The original riddle itself has enough information to do so itself as well. The next stanza reads, "Then with your newfound knowledge you must travel through black flame. The place where alchemy's best is found will help you win this game." The place where alchemy's best is found refers to the page in the first Harry Potter novel where Harry finds the Sorcerer's Stone, or Philosopher's Stone if you're outside the US. In order to reach that location in the book, Harry, with Hermione's help, navigates a complex riddle, which leads to him walking through a fire of black flames to the place where the Philosopher's Stone was hidden, a parallel I enjoyed making to digital buried treasure itself. In the book, the page on which this happens is 292. This is the place where alchemy's best is found. 292. It is also the name of a highway in the state of Arkansas, which runs from Minnow Creek to another highway called 21. The road goes past a church called Mountain Homes. This is how Marshall's message could help you if you are having a hard time finding the starting point to apply his cipher. Once you have page 292 in Harry Potter and the cipher numbers in front of you, simply start moving through that page by the number of characters specified and record the letter at that position. I did not include spaces, so you end up with a string of letters that you have to parse yourself. Once done correctly, the following stanza is revealed. The second key is buried neath the glittering arm sand, a watery tragedy across appended high or low in hand. Using Marshall's location, Oregon, as a place to start looking, you can narrow down Glittering Arm Sands to a place called Gold Beach, Oregon. Watery tragedy refers to a shipwreck, and this is where the most difficult red herring of the puzzle is introduced. Gold Beach is home to a derelict ship called Mary D. Hume, which is the most obvious solution here to a watery tragedy in Gold Beach, but this is not correct. Let's come back to that in a second. The next line reads, appended high or low in hand. This has several layers of meaning. The first is that it should lead you to Ace Hardware in Gold Beach. In card games like Blackjack, an ace can be played as either high or low. If you weren't 100% sure of this store being part of the hunt, look in the window from Google Street View and you will see a sign that says keys cut here. This is the right place for sure. Ace Hardware in Gold Beach also happens to be on Highway 101, which is really just Highway 1, but given a prefix of 10 in order to not confuse it with a highway on the east coast of the country. Here again we see the prevalent theme of ones and zeros coming back into play. As the clue says, we need to look across from the ace, and as a double meaning, we also need to look across Highway 101 or Highway 1. Directly across, there's a flower shop called Flowers by the Sea. This is where we find the second key. To confirm this, look to stanza 8, which reads, you need not rise up from your chair to find what treasure's hidden there. If you look in Street View, there are some Adirondack chairs sitting in front of Ace Hardware. If you imagine yourself sitting there, you would have a perfect line of sight to Flowers by the Sea. Let's go back to our watery tragedy for a moment. The most obvious type of watery tragedy is a shipwreck. I hinted at this visually in some of my videos by placing a small model ship in the background. To put together Flowers by the Sea and shipwreck, I'm using what I've dubbed a Google cipher. A cipher is simply an algorithm where you put in an input and you get out a different output. In this case, you can do that by searching for Flowers by the Sea and shipwreck in the same query, which will return to you the name of a shipwreck, Flor de la Mar, which was a 400-ton Portuguese ship which sailed the Indian Ocean until her sinking in November 1511. Nobleman Alfonso de Albuquerque was returning from conquest of Malacca, bringing with him a large treasure trove for the Portuguese king when the ship was lost off the coast of Sumatra. This piece of the puzzle brings the second key back around to the theme of treasure, which has also been prevalent throughout the hunt. There is one final step involved with getting from Flor de la Mar to the second key though, and that is the word appended. The key is a cross appended high or low in hand, meaning that we need to add ace, which we can translate to the number 1, to the end of Flor de la Mar. This again ties into our ones and zeros theme, And I just thought it was funny because it's so common for people to simply add the number 1 to the ends of their passwords when a number is part of a password requirement. Once you have both keys, they need to be used on the chest in order to open it. As I mentioned before, this is a PayPal account. There's only a subtle reference to this fact in the hunt, which is in stanza 9, real treasure lies in friends. Another word for friends is pal, but I also wanted to show that one of my main goals in this hunt was to bring people together, explore new and unexpected ideas, and go on an adventure, all from the comfort of your own home, or wherever you happen to be. As far as visual hints in the videos, the ship was definitely the main one, but some people picked up that there are copies of Harry Potter in the bottom left, although you need to know what they look like to recognize them. There's also a book that says music in large letters, which hints at the part of key 1 that dealt with music intervals. There were lots of other small connections hidden throughout the puzzle, but I definitely have covered the main thread of the riddle at this point. Some people even came up with amazing connections and solutions that were wrong ultimately, but brilliant nonetheless, and I wish that I had thought of some of them. I truly enjoyed watching everyone's progress over the last 14 months as this hunt unfolded, and interacting with those who reached out to me with questions. So many people have told me how much this hunt means to them and how fun it's been to participate in. I hope to have a second one soon, but I won't make any promises as to a specific release date or timeline on that. Give me some time to develop something that's a worthy follow-up to Digital Buried Treasure number 1 and to accumulate the resources needed to put it on. Until then, I will see you in the mini hunts, and as always, good luck. Thanks for playing.